split humanity apart naturally. Like we have this strong bridge that will never be.
So amazing.
And I want to ask you, Pax, like
Yeah.
as an African American, a black man who is a part of the Grand Lodge of State in California,
Right.
what is your Masonic story? Why did you join Freemasonry, and why are you so active on TikTok? Because you were big when I was just starting out in Masonic talk, and I want to hear your story as well.
And before you do, you know me. I just want to say this, Paxton. Me and you have never talked directly, but I've been watching your content, and I just have to say, you are so smooth. You are one of the most like exciting people to watch. Your orating skills are like beyond amazing, and it's
He is the
so good,
smoothest brother on TikTok by far.
Oh my god, it's so
Widows Miho has
so
nothing
good.
on him. Harpo Crades has nothing on him. Pax is in a league of his own, and I love this brother. Like I said, even though I don't agree with half of the shit that he says about religion, faith, and
of
things
course
like
not.
that, I watch every one of his videos.
Brother Paxton, I gotta say,
Captivating.
I've been waiting to get in a live with you,
Captivating.
so I'm glad that we're here now.
Oh, I will float through lives, and usually I usually just watch them, and I watch them without ever tapping on, so people don't know I'm there. But I've just sat in Brother Fluff's lives and gone to sleep, just listening, just because.
Well, I'm glad I could bore you to death, brother.
Oh no, I mean because that there's one thing. There's two different things. There's one thing to do a lot of content, and there's another thing to do a lot of lives.
Yes.
And doing lives a lot, man, that's extra fucking work. People don't realize.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you are on it. You're reading. You're keeping people entertained. You're talking. You're moderating arguments. I mean, you're killing trolls. It's just like a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time with trolls. I usually just delete them. It doesn't help me, but someone's like da da da. I'm like, yeah, delete. Even sometimes I should just talk to them and maybe get a little more conversation going. But I have a poor patience in my old age.
I find that really funny because in Mason talk as a whole, you're a freaking mentor of mine. You're the first person that I've ever seen on Mason talk who is like, I don't give a fuck about what you think. I'm gonna keep being me.
Right. Well, so to answer your question, that's it, because I started studying sacred geometry and like Hermetic law and a lot of the esoteric stuff when I was young, like 6 years old.
Right.
So, and I've been through some struggles, whatever. So as a job, I study, I utilize what I've learned in my lectures for like first responders houses or mental health or emotional health or whatever. So Masonry was just the next logical step. Plus, I remember my grandfather was a 33 out of Philly,
Right.
and I never really paid attention to it until, then I'm like, whoa, oh, that's what he was doing. Oh, and I start connecting dots.
It's you were from even though you reside in California and you're a California Mason, you were from New York, right?
Yeah, New York, born in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
Philly, Northfield, Minnesota for a while, Bradford, Vermont, but mostly East Coast.
Yeah.
And okay, so I'll tell you, I was sitting in my house when I was 18, and I'm drinking beer and doing other things, just being a little shit.
Right.
And I had a car that my grandmother left me, and it was a Buick Skylark 1974, and I run it into the ground because I don't know how to take care of cars. So it's in my parking lot, and the landlord's like, dude, get that car out of my parking lot. So I call the first tow truck I can find, and I'm like, hey, dude, tow my truck. So I'm sitting in my house with the door open, getting drunk and everything else, and, this big classical trucker-looking dude walks through the door, and he's like, hey, where's the car? I said, it's out there in the parking lot. So he goes out, he comes back, and he goes, hey, are you a Mason? And I'm like, wait, what'd you call me? You know, like I don't know what he's talking about. And he goes, I said, nah, man, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, well, come here. And he points at the back of the car, you know, and my grandfather had the G on there and a square and a compass. And I said, oh, that's my grandfather. And he goes, huh. Now, if anyone's listening who's not a Mason, by no means is this what we do. This is not expected or anything. But he tows my car for free, fixes my car for free, and brings it back for free. And that's just some of the respect that being a Mason you get from other people who either are aware of Masons or are a Mason or a child of a Mason or whatever. And that stuck with me. And so now fast forward, I'm 49 years old. I make a living, you know, obviously nothing. I can't say nothing, but most of the things I speak, 99% of the things I speak about have nothing to do with Masonry, other than Masonry encourages people to free think and explore and be themselves and whatever they are. Freemasonry wants you to be that, you know, more or less. But so on TikTok, you know, and I don't know, you might have missed it, but early on, when I first got on TikTok, I mean, I would wear my regalia and I wouldn't, you know, I admit to it, but I was very shy about speaking on it.
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't know where the bounds were.
Well, I mean, I gotta admit, when I first saw you on TikTok, I saw that big old square and compass that you were wearing on your neck, and I asked around. I said, "Who is this Pax Dickerson? Like, who is this guy? Is he a clandestine Mason? Is he Prince
Right.
Hall Mason? Like, what kind of Mason is he? I gotta
Right.
know." Because what you were speaking out there is a lot of stuff that my Protestant mind couldn't comprehend at the time,
Right.
And so I would ask around, and a lot of guys would be like, "I don't know who he is. He seems to be a legit brother, but you know, time will tell." And then
Yeah, you never know.
yeah, and then you and I started talking a little bit on the side, getting to know each other, and I was like, "Well, fuck, he's a legit Mason. He's just got different views than I do. Does that mean that I don't love him? No, absolutely not. I extend the most brotherly love to Pax that I possibly can. Do I have to agree with Pax? No, I do not. But does
And
this
that's a
offer
funny
life?
thing, not to interrupt you, but the funny thing is, so let's just take the classic example. So Brother Fluff and I will probably and do disagree on religious or political or different aspects of reality or whatever, but we get along wonderfully. And there's people who I know for a fact believe in a lot of the same politics and philosophies that I do, and we don't get along at all. You know, and that's how it started. I mean, people were like, "Oh, you're a Mason," blah blah blah, or you know, some Masons were getting, you know, they're like, "Hey,
There is
dude,
a-
you know, you shouldn't wear that, and
Yeah.
don't do this, and we don't show our rings, or you have
There's
to do this." And
a particular video that I remember you talking about. It was about crap. It was about extending one's mind from the spiritual realm to the physical realm, right?
Right.
And there were some guys in that, or guys or ladies, I don't know,
Right.
but they were in the comment section and they were completely disagreeing with you. Like they were on some other path. I want to say that they were more like intertwined with voodoo.
yeah,
And technologies like that. And I got in there and I started arguing for Pax.
Right.
And then they questioned me and they were like, "Well, what are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm Southern Baptist Christian is
Right.
what I am." And they're like, "Well, you shouldn't believe in this stuff anyways." I was like, "I don't, but I'm going to defend my brother."
Right.
Because I know for a fact the way he is giving this information is in a way that he's trying to extend his love to the rest of humanity.
Right.
And you guys just can't see that right now. And it was
Right.
hilarious because they weren't expecting that.
People, yeah, exactly, and that comes with most things stem from something else, and the ultimate root is the misconception that Freemasons are a cult. So they assume we all believe the same thing, and that we have to, and that we wouldn't tolerate any other beliefs, and so. And that's why I was a little scared, because it's like, I'm a Freemason, but I also don't hide other things of myself. And I've gotten bad or good responses. Like sometimes people are like, "Oh, that's awesome." if I become a Mason, will I learn that? I'm like, no, we don't teach any of this shit. Like, I'm not going to teach you anything Masonic over the internet. Like, what are you talking about? Like, no. Or people are like, oh my God, yeah, that's what Masons do. And I'm like, no,
So,
no.
Pax, I want to run it back to the original question a little
Sure.
bit because obviously you had that run in with that Mason who took care of your grandpa's car and whatnot. When you got to California, did you immediately join the Freemasons?
Oh
And
God, no.
when did you learn how to dress the way you do? Because if you don't know Pax, he is the best dressed Mason. I guarantee you right now, he's wearing a blazer, he's wearing some jewels, he's probably got some rings on his finger. This guy is the best dressed Mason on TikTok. But I want to know, like, Grand Lodge of California, when did you approach a lodge and how did that happen?
Sure. So, well, when I came out to California in '96, I was still very, very much in my addiction. So I came out doing nothing good. I mean, I got into Hollywood and I started casting movies and some other stuff I'm not going to say on the internet, but I was just being a little. I thought I made it, because I'm in California and I have money and eating. I'm eating Taco Bell on the fucking floor of the office with Jada Pickett, and I'm going to parties with LL Cool J and name drop, and blah blah blah, and I was never really into gangs, but I was into like higher level stupidity. So I'm hanging out with crooked cops and being stupid and just being just blah 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 blah, and so and of course none of that works. Like you can't. That's not sustainable. So I, destroy everything. It crumbles around my head, and I end up in a treatment center. And so I get introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous. So I go through that whole screw this thing, it's a cult, and you guys are all saying the same thing, and blah blah blah. I have to do this, and blah blah blah. I have to do this. But of course, self-preservation, and I cleared my head, and then I started getting into the things that I had forgotten about
Right.
when I was high, like Kabbalion and Hermetic law and different philosophies, and also things like cigars and espresso. Who had time for that when you're doing drugs? So I forgot all these things and clothes and the way I like to present myself and things I totally forgot. And things that I never fully adopted from my dad because my father